I'm not. No. I would have got very lost. I wouldn't have got that far.
So you're quite used to Labour then?
Protesting for a while against all the changes. It's never been anything quite like this. Everybody has to stand together. The public support.
I think it's the education piece. Once they realise this is actually all about control, this is about taking the land, this isn't about tax. Sorry, what was that?
That knowledge has been lost in such a short period of time. Generations, generation that knowledge has been lost. And the disconnect has been lost. Yes, absolutely. And it's a lonely way. It's incredible. Yeah, absolutely. I think we always feel we can belong to something. There's so much time working on our own, even if we are in the family. There's such a selection. Absolutely.
Any other food bank donations? There's another food van down by Parliament Square, so anyone else who's got food to donate, either hold on to it or make your way once we finish down to Parliament Square. So that's down behind you where you're all stood now. That's where the next food wagon's going to be. We're going to make a start at past. We're just getting our first 4 ready, and we're going to make a start.
It'd be quite fun to run ahead. I'd be like, running
bloke on about NATO. We've got this feeling.
No money for the crazy house, plenty of money for farming for remorse. And they're going to be taking it all off your kids' heads, so they can spend it on themselves. Yeah.
That's all they have to do. I'm feeling we're going to casualties.
So proposing to put the heritage tax on farmland. Yeah.
Is it true that farmers actually find it really hard to make a living?
Yes, they do make fun. They do. Yeah. It's very, very small return on capital, but asset-rich cash poor. We don't mind that because it feeds the nation. Generation after generation.
No, don't worry. I know, I've done it, yeah. Well, the police just told me they reckon they'll move about. Right. Is it okay for me to go through? Excuse me. Thank you.
It's King Charles.
There you go. Front page of the Times.
Well done, outside the capital.
Can I shuffle you up a little bit?
I don't know where you're going to find that.
No, it wasn't just we go in there. It was somewhere not too bad. Just the other side of Trafalgar Square.
What about the cafe at the top of
Shard. Where?
Follows?
That's miles away.
Just the other side of there. Okay, so
Yeah, but that's fine, yeah. Okay. Cafe at the top of Foyle. Good places on there. Yes, you can slip in a bit of book purchasing.
Yeah, there is space.
My husband had been to he'd gone down to the third quarter and
We're following Philip, that's why.
and so they walked. We live up in Cambridge town.
He's only progressive. He's not making much progress here. Just keep moving.
We had keepers from Romania and two escapes. And they came down, came back with got up to the first time they ever been to London. And so we showed them all the places we walked to. Then they got back on their bus and went back.
Lots of northern buses today got yeah, sorry, I woke up and I was like, I was hallucinating. I was like, this wasn't the plan.
It was a proper dump of snow, wasn't it? All white. Yeah.
Yeah, but we came down from north of Scotland.
We'd have been still in Paddington.
Not down on the sort of lowground, definitely that hill. Yeah. And I was sitting in the Murray
That's the crazy thing actually, we had our barns up, I was really hot day. I joked to the guy in the barn, I went, this is when it's completely snowing, it's not a problem. I woke up and I was like,
But swimming in a lock. Is that what
Well, no, it was Murray first.
Oh, Murray, okay.
Sean at first.
Okay.
Well, supposedly Jeremy Clarkson, but I don't know somebody else. Well, I think he's not down in the hole. So they need to get him to be a bit more cool.
That's why the British one, they're always making it home, but anything can't.
Even though they're called a union, it's misleading. Yeah.
And we get all our
They could do a
we need to get the journalists to explain it, because people won't understand.
and it looks almost like them now.
Yeah, my husband was changing the insurance in the car on this car 10 years ago. And one of the
In about 5 minutes we're going to kick off if everyone gets comfortable, okay? It's okay, it's not raining or anything, is it?
funny that.
Has anyone seen Andrew Ward because we've lost him? He might be under a big pile of food. He's only a little fella. If you look up your feet, look down please everybody. Could be anywhere there. Normally found talking about the news. We find you. He's behind you. I'm here. Well, welcome everyone. Amazing, thank you. Now, the numbers have totally exceeded what we actually anticipated. Which unfortunately means we don't think we can march to Parliament Square and back without Don't boo me!
Yeah, so with the children going to be leaving it, what we're going to do is we're going to get the children safely around the back of these buildings to the far end for some photographs, so that people can see what we were trying to achieve here. But the numbers have totally outweighed our expectations. Right, we'll crack on. So, welcome to everyone that's watching. Welcome to everyone that's watching online. A lot of people have had to stay behind to look after animals, so we just need to think about them. Thank you to all this team here that's made this happen. Massive thanks to the Met for allowing this to happen and keeping everybody safe. Come on, you can do better than that. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'm Ollie Harrison. I'm just an arable farmer from near Liverpool. I never thought one day I'd be stood here talking to so many farmers. My family has farmed in Tarbert for 175 years, with me being the 5th generation, and James dreamed of being the 6th. He's slightly confused. The gobby hats fell over his eyes. Me and my father and my ancestors have worked tirelessly over them years to build the farm we're in today. But for now, I could be the last generation to produce food on that land. The government has taken the ability away for me to be able to pass the family farm on in a financially stable way for my 3 children. That makes me so angry, and I know I'm not the only one here today. We all know no one owns a farm. We just look after it for the next generation. I'm really sorry, I had to write all this down so I didn't forget it. I don't normally like the script. Being dyslexic, I can't read either. This reckless budget has already cost some lives. Given that where we are today, by the war memorials, someone's phone's ringing. Can we please just hold a minute's silence to remember those that aren't with us anymore? And those that fed us during 2 world wars. So we'll just take a moment. Thank you. Now, why do we farm? Why do we accept low prices? Why do we put up with low wages and long hours? Why do we risk the family home every day? Why do we put up with this weather? We actually ordered this today, so everyone felt at home. I'll tell you why. We farm for our children. We farm to feed the nation. We farm because it's in our blood. And we farm because we love it. No one does it for the money. There is none. I hope you heard that. Is today the beginning of the end for UK farming? Or is it the beginning of some direct action? To save this farming community, we all love, that feeds this nation every day, 365 days a year. Some of you may watch our YouTube videos, and I thank you for that. If you've watched recently, you'd know my dad isn't in the best of health. That is why he couldn't be here today. We really did want to have 3 generations here. It would be hard enough to lose a loved member of my family. It would be even harder to lose a business that me and him have built together. Nothing more than a family farm tax, political greed. They think they can replace us with importing food. They can't. Feeding a nation on imported food is a dangerous place to be for any country. Just ask them over there. That's the MOD. They understand the importance in food in keeping a nation running. Remember as well, for every pound we spend on importing food, we may never see that back in our economy. Think about that, please, Treasury. The government must listen. Do they know what it's like to get up at 4 AM to feed cows and get food on? Do they know what it's like to give CPR to a weak lamb? Do they know what it's like to unblock a combine at 2 AM with bleeding hands and knuckles because of a thistle in it? Do the government even know where food comes from? Today we come together to show the government we will be heard. Let's unite all businesses that rely on farming. Let's unite all businesses that cannot pass their hard work to the next generation because of this appalling budget. We will not be taxed into bankruptcy. We will not be bribed with political rhetoric. Downing Street, if you can hear us, you need to fix this. For the nation, you have to do this to feed the voters that trusted you. You have to do it for our children. And you have to do it for our grandchildren. Thank you.
Every single one of you. We had no idea what we started just a week or 10 days ago. We're here to make clear this is an impossible family farm tax. British farmers cannot pay this. That's better. Just start again.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, every single one of you. You're here to make clear this is an impossible family farm tax for British farmers to pay. I think we're making pretty clear that this doesn't just affect 500 farms. This affects the, 10, 20,000 of you that are here, not counted. More? Can't see the back, so yeah, that's a lot. We're here to demonstrate that the government have just got their numbers wrong on this. Very wrong. To demonstrate that family farms, the very foundation of our beautiful British countryside, will be lost forever. The investment will disappear. Our food security will be threatened, and our environment will undoubtedly suffer. Our countryside will end up being owned by the huge institutional and corporate investors that the APR was supposed to stop. I farm the same fields as my grandfather and father did, and I just want my children, Henry, do you see what he's saying?
Hello.
this is about these guys. It's this generation. It's their opportunity to farm that's been taken away. Bear with me. The tax bill, when my father dies, is just unaffordable. The returns on the capital that we have invested in farming, they just don't provide the kind of income that can cover that 20%. So I'll have to sell. We're here today. We need the politicians to sit down, to look again at how can they achieve their aims without engineering this destruction of family farms. We want them to meet with us, actual farmers, sit down with us and let us show them how to fix British farming, how to make it great, how to make it sustainable. Let us show you what the generations of knowledge that should be listened to, understood and supported to help grow both our nation's food and the economy.
Hello everybody, I'm Andrew Ward, I farm in Lincolnshire, and like Ollie as well, I also have a YouTube channel. It's a pity those people behind those gates don't watch it a bit more. Thank you so much for everybody that's coming here today. The view we have from up here is unbelievable, and talking about emotional, I had tears in my eyes when I came up here about half an hour ago. Thank you so much for supporting us. We really appreciate it, but we will support you. The five of us that put this together, we have all had a job to do. My job was to look after the food bank and try to get food brought into London. We have had that in tons, and I mean tons. And the idea was to highlight and bring food. The idea was to show the capital just how much value
a figure well above the national average. The Better Health North Somerset team do amazing work to promote good oral health, but regular dentist checkups are the oral health silver bullet. Could the Minister explain and outline the work he is doing to ensure that children in Western, Wirral and across the country get the dentistry service they so desperately need?
Absolutely right to raise this vital issue, and prevention, of course, is always better than cure. So I'm very proud of the fact that we're introducing supervised toothbrushing for 3 to 5-year-olds in the most deprived communities and where there's most unmet need. And of course, we're also working to sort out the NHS contracts so that we can ensure that children get the care they need.
We come to James Wilde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having training locally at the University of East Anglia is important for my constituents, but in the short term, what steps is the Minister taking to speed up the process by which dentists get on the dental performing list so they can work in the NHS and not just privately? And is he also considering bringing in a provisional overseas registration scheme?
I thank the honourable gentleman for that question. We are looking at provisional registration. As I also mentioned to his honourable friend earlier, we're very open to the idea of a dental training school at the University of East Anglia. We need to ensure that we push on the full spectrum of all of these measures because there is a crisis in NHS dentistry and we need to get on and fix it.
Senator Bessington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In my constituency, Toothless and Huntingdon have written to me highlighting that 36% of patients under Cambridgeshire and Peterborough integrated care system no longer have an NHS dentist. They want dental practice to provide access to those needing emergency treatment and a priority pathway for referrals from hospital departments such as cardiology and oncology. To that extent, what steps are being taken in Huntingdonshire to improve dental access across rural Cambridgeshire, and how is the government helping Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Integrated Care Board to address these issues?
Well, I thank him. Obviously, the Golden Hello scheme for rural areas is very important. That's something that we're pushing forward on. I'm pleased to say that the hundreds have expressed interest in it and appointments are starting on that basis. He's right about training places. As I've already mentioned, we are very open to establishments, institutions coming forward with proposals for that. What I would say to him is we're living in a country where the biggest cause of hospital admission for 5 to 9-year-olds is to have their rotten teeth removed. It is a truly Dickensian state of affairs and something that needs to be fixed as a priority.
Tom Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Earlier this year, I visited an orthodontist that carries out work on behalf of the NHS. The issue that they were saying was that when they have people referred to them by their general dentist, they then can't go on to do the orthodontic work because their teeth are in too bad a state, but they're referred back to the dentist but can't get in because of waiting lists and issues. So when we're looking at reforming dental contracts, we'll be looking at orthodontic ones too.
I thank him for that question. Absolutely, as my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State, has said, we've already met a number of times with the BDA and no issues are off the table. We absolutely need to look at orthodontists in the round as part of the contract negotiations, and we'll certainly be reporting back on that in due course.
Tristan Osborne.
Question number 9, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With permission, I'd like to take questions 9 and 22 together. Before the election, we made it clear that it was investment and reform that was needed in the NHS. The Chancellor announced the investment of the budget, and since the general election, we've confirmed introducing new league tables of NHS providers, with high-performing providers being given greater freedom over funding and flexibility, sending turnaround teams into struggling hospitals, giving the best performers greater freedoms over funding to modernise technology and equipment. We're creating a new college of executive and clinical leadership that will help attract, keep and support the best NHS leaders. We're banning NHS trusts from using agencies to hire temporary entry-level workers in bands 2 and 3, such as healthcare assistants and domestic support workers. We're sending crack teams of top clinicians to areas with long waiting lists and high economic inactivity to improve the productivity of their clinics, and we're running a GP red tape challenge to slash bureaucracy. I could go on, Mr. Speaker, because this is a government that's walking the talk on NHS reform.
I think you already have, but there we are, Tristan Osborne.
Very much, Mr. Speaker, and I wish you would go on, but irresponsible promises were made by the opposition around capital investment into hospitals and elective surgeries across the country, and including in the 3 Medway constituencies. Can I ask my right honourable friend whether he will meet with me and my colleagues from Rochester, Stroud and Gillingham and Rainham to discuss the much-needed NHS investment in our area?
Mr Speaker, I'd be delighted to meet with my honourable friend and other members from across Medway to discuss the challenges that are facing their part of the South East and, of course, to explain why it was that our predecessors made promises they couldn't keep, with timetables that were completely fictitious and funding that runs out in March. I'm really sorry at the way that communities were let down by the previous government. This government won't make the same mistakes.
Kevin Bonavia.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm grateful to my friend, the Secretary of State, for his earlier answer. Last week, I spoke to one of my constituents, Norman Phillips, who has been an unpaid carer for his wife, Ros, for the past 18 years. Like many unpaid carers across Stevenage, Norman has been put through absolute hell by the complete inaction on social care from over 14 years of the previous Tory government. Does the Secretary of State agree with me that unpaid carers like Norman play a vital role in providing care and that unpaid carers need to be at the very heart of any much-needed reforms to the social care system?
I'm grateful to my honourable friend for that question. I too pay tribute to Norman and family carers like him who play such a vital role supporting loved ones. In the budget, the Chancellor announced with the carers allowance uplift, the largest increase to the weekly earnings limit since the introduction of carers allowance in 1976. And as well as this investment, we will have a 10-year plan for social care, and I see the care workforce, care providers and family carers all being important partners in building that plan.
Jeremy Hill.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can I welcome the Secretary of State's plans to reform the NHS, but caution against the idea that the answer is to fire more incompetent managers. The answer is not bad management, but micromanagement from the centre, which sees hospitals managed with more than 100 targets by NHS England, making it one of the most micromanaged healthcare systems in the world. So will his plans have more autonomy for managers to help them innovate, save money and improve care for patients?
I'm grateful to the right honourable gentleman for that question, and I'm happy to confirm it is my view that when you have too many targets and you're measuring everything, you end up measuring nothing. That we need to give more freedom and autonomy to good leaders and more clinical leaders and managers in the NHS who are coming up with some of the best productivity gains in the system. That's why we've announced new support and investment in College the College of Leadership for both clinical leaders and executive leaders in the NHS. I'd be delighted to meet with him to discuss those issues. He was a great chair of the Select Committee. But I would also just say to the right honourable gentleman, that back in July we saw a really great example of how you can improve things by sacking bad managers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One of the lessons from the pandemic is the importance of NHS communications. Last week I joined victims of the sodium valproate scandal to hand in a petition. They tried to download from the website the MHRA yellow card, adverse drug reaction literature, and they were unable to do so. So will the Secretary of State look at this as a matter of urgency, because people need to be warned about the risks of taking certain drugs?
I'm really grateful to the honourable gentleman for that question. As he knows, I am a great champion of patient power, and a key part of giving patients more power and control over their healthcare is better access to information. That's why, as well as improvements to the NHS app, which will provide far easier interaction with the NHS for patients, I'm also working with my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology, to make sure that all of the information held by government is better accessible for our citizens, particularly where that includes, as he mentions, vital safety information and guidance.
Pamela Nash.
Question number 10, Mr Speaker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Thanks to the decisions that the Chancellor took at the budget, we're able to provide an additional £26 billion to give the NHS the funding it needs. This will support the NHS in England with the ability to deliver an extra 40,000 more appointments a week to cut waiting lists. And of course, for my honourable friend and her constituents, the budget has given Scotland the biggest real-term increase in funding through the Barnett formula since devolution began. I hope the Scottish Government will use this investment to deliver improved services for the Scottish people.
Nash.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
The Labour Party is the party of the NHS, and the significant additional investment that was announced in the recent budget has reaffirmed this. The